Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Dear Life Diary. Here I share personal stories of my life experiences that have shaped me to who I am. In today's video, I'll be sharing my 3 most unforgettable childhood memories, something I mentioned in my last video. But before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. And to my returning viewers, welcome back. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future story uploads. Alright, let's get into it. My first memory, I was just 3 years old when this happened. Back then, our neighborhood was very close-knit. Everyone helped each other, everyone was friendly, and we're always there for each other, especially during big events like weddings or celebrations. One night, my mom joined a group of women to cook for a wedding that was happening the next day. And of course, my brother and I tagged along. While my brother played with his friends and enjoyed some free pieces of meat here and there, I stayed close to my mom, happily eating fried fish and little pieces of meat too. After a while, I got thirsty and my mom handed me a cup, asking me to fetch water from a drum in the food store. The water drum was quite tall for a little 3-year-old like me. And beside it was a huge uncovered pot of freshly cooked afang soup, still steaming hot. The lid wasn't covered on it because they wanted the heat to come out a little bit and cool off. But the pot was very close to the drum of water. And little old me thought it would be a good idea to step on top of the edge of the pot so I could reach into the drum and get some water in my cup. The moment I stepped my leg on the top of the pot, the next thing I remember was splash, followed by unbearable pain and me screaming out my lungs. I was pulled out, poured buckets of water on me by the women, and rushed to the hospital by my mom. To this day, although most of the scars have faded away while I've grown up, one still stays, and that's on my left hip, a reminder of that night that I will never forget. The second memory, strangely, this next memory also happened when I was 3 and also because of water. I guess it's true what they say, water truly is a very pure substance. Well, like I said, I was 3 and also started being thirsty, very thirsty. One hot afternoon, we're all playing outside. My brother was playing with his friends and I was playing with mine too. I got real thirsty, and my brother, whenever he starts playing, he's not in the mood to break his freedom. So he turned and told me, go meet mommy. And I ran into the house. I went searching for my mom to ask for water since I couldn't reach the fridge on my own. I looked everywhere, the parlor, the kitchen, the bedroom, but she wasn't there. Then I went outside to the back. There was a small house at the back of the house, which my dad had made so that any maid we had would be living in there. The door to that house was open. I walked toward the door, and at the doorway, I paused. I was led to that door because I could hear some noises of people there, so I decided to go check for my mom. As I approached, calling out, "Mommy, Mommy," I stopped at the doorway and saw something I didn't understand at that age. Now, this thing that I saw, for some reason, this memory stayed with me. I'm a 3-year-old and I don't understand what I was looking at. Even in my secondary school, I had a habit of drawing things on my notebooks. Most of my notebooks were comics. So one day I decided to make a comic in one of my books. My drawing wasn't that great, but you could tell that I was drawing a female, I could tell I was drawing a cat. But then in the comic, a particular scene involved a man laying with a woman. And I drew this image so perfectly well, unlike the other images in the comic. One of the teachers got hold of my book, and I became the talk of the staff room. Most of the staff condemned me, saying that I was a spoiled child, but only one teacher took interest, our history teacher back then in school. He called me aside and said that this drawing kind of portrays something. Either it's a trauma or a bad memory. Then he proceeded to ask me if somebody did this to me. I kept my eyes down looking at the ground and I said him no. that since I've been a little girl, this image have always been in my head, that I didn't understand what it meant. And I think still then in secondary school, I still hadn't figured it out. But I think he did when I told him everything about it. Let's go back to the story. The image that I saw at the doorway was my mother on the bed, lying naked, with a man on top of her, also naked. I remember it clearly as day, as if it was yesterday. The man was fair in complexion with a very hairy chest. None of them flinched. My mom just bent and looked at me at her head and asked me to go into the house that she was coming to get me water. And I left. But the image stayed in my mind for years. I didn't even understand what I'd seen until much later in life. Finally, as I became an adult, it all suddenly made sense what I had witnessed. I guess God really wanted me to not forget that memory because He was going to prove that whatever my father was going to tell me about my mom was true. Now, my third memory is the day curiosity saved my life. This happened when I was 7. Parents, if you're watching this, please encourage your children's curiosity. If you have kids that are very curious, you don't know what God has done for you, make sure to also advise them that whenever they are curious, they should always endeavor to come talk to you about what they are curious about. You might be shocked to find out that they might have experienced something or about to experience something that may be dangerous to them. One Saturday evening, around 5 p.m., I was playing outside near an uncompleted building that was beside our house in the same compound. My brother was inside watching TV. Our gate man walked up to me inside the uncompleted building and told me to come, that he wanted to show me something. He now asked me if I have ever seen a human snake. I was confused because I know what a snake is and I don't like snakes. They are dangerous. So I kept wondering, then how can humans have snake? That was when he unzipped his trousers and pulled out something I now know as an adult to be his private part. It was quite massive. I was so scared because I did not know what I was looking at. And then he asked me to touch it. My brain immediately told me to run. I began to feel very scared because since I was already afraid of snakes, what I was looking at and I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing, I didn't want to touch snake. So while he was encouraging me to touch it, I stepped back and I ran into the house. I wanted to tell my brother, but my brother was too involved in his movies. But my spirit told me to wait for Daddy to come back, that Daddy will be in the best position to explain to me what the human snake is. When my dad came home that evening, while he was having his dinner, I told him everything. His face at first seemed mad. Then he turned to me with a gentle smile and said, "You did the right thing running away. Don't worry. Go to bed. Tomorrow morning, I will explain to you what a human snake is." I said, "Okay," and I left. The next day, I woke up to hear a lot of voices and argument outside. My dad, surprisingly, was still at home and hadn't left for work. I got out of bed, walked downstairs, and went towards the parlor door going outside. I opened the door and I went outside. My brother and the maid were standing by the door. My father was standing outside towards the car talking to a police officer. Then my brother turned around and noticed me standing there, and my father at the same time turned and saw me. I quickly ran to my father and greeted him good morning. He held me protectively to him, and the police officer now asked him, "Is she the one?" And my daddy said, "Yes, she is." Then at that moment, I noticed towards the gate 2 more police officers, but they weren't alone. They were with our gate man, and our gate man was wearing handcuffs. That was when my father now scratched down and turned me to face him. What that man tried to get you to do yesterday was a bad thing. If you had done it, you would have been in danger. So he is being arrested for what he almost did to you. That was when I realized that I had flee from trouble. But now that I'm an adult, I finally realized not only fleeing from trouble, I literally got saved by my curiosity from being molested by my gay man. So, those are my 3 most unforgettable childhood memories. Moments that shaped me in ways I didn't understand until much later. Can you relate to any of these experiences, or do you have memories that you've never been able to forget? Share your thoughts and comments in the comment sections. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next story. See you in the next video. Bye.